Hi, everyone, and welcome back to episode 49 of the Heart Truth Diamond podcast.
I am GIA Oh no, that's you.
Is this like that movie, the Friday movie, where they like swap roles? And you wake up in my body, I wake up in your body.
Not on a day where you're wearing overalls.
You said they were cute.
They're so cute on you.
We just got back from Vegas and I have no clean laundry, so I decided to throw on this little number here.
I think it looks cute, GIA Judy.
I think so too.
I'm Colin David Ferguson, the Diamond Stud. Now, just before we got on, we had to start over because Judy admonished me again for bad behavior.
What does admonished mean?
Gave me shit.
Oh, okay.
Right? Because apparently I speak over her all the time.
What do you guys think?
Right? Like we have video evidence. She's there's no gray area with Judy on things, which is probably why it's better you're the technical person and I'm not. It's probably why you're GIA Judy and I'm not.
Thank you.
I allow for gray area.
Okay.
Anyway, with episode 49, this is my true age episode is what we're going to call. But yeah, we just got back late last night.
Like 2 a.m. late.
Arriving at the airport after delays and delays and delays. Out of Las Vegas.
Not Los Angeles.
Yeah, I said that a couple of times.
Yeah, you did.
But this was the world's largest to date
Jewelry exhibition.
jewelry and diamond exhibition.
Well, they call it jewelry exhibition, but really it's both.
It's the biggest diamond show on earth, no matter what they call it.
Over 30,000 attendees.
That's a lot.
That's a lot, yeah.
And it was your first, so why don't you tell us what your thoughts were of it?
Sure. I thought it was absolutely fascinating to see every single vendor, jeweler, manufacturer, wholesaler in the entire world come together under this one convention. It was super overwhelming, I will say, but it was so cool. Having everyone under one roof, we talked about how there was a little bit of segregation going on.
Segregation is a good word. Look at you.
Thank you.
And what Judy's talking about is it's Diamond Wars. We made a number of predictions here in this podcast, and I have to go on the record, especially after the news releases from people we met at the show and got our pictures taken with, like Martin Rappaport.
I'll put in a little image of you too.
Right? Cute, right?
Right.
Lovely man.
So cute.
But, Martin Rappaport is a guy who changed the diamond industry by establishing a somewhat loosely based pricing relationship to diamonds. It's much tighter nowadays, although the industry doesn't want you to know that. But Martin Rappaport came out this morning in one of his press releases and talked about what we predicted. We told you it was going to happen. It's happening. Everybody in the industry said it wouldn't happen. But what's happened is the price of mined diamonds is, what's a good word? Not crumbling, not stumbling. Falling's a good word.
I was going to say falling.
But what's a stronger word than falling? Because the industry's changed. And when Judy talks about segregation, when we went to the show, and I've been going to these shows since before you were born.
For decades.
Although she wouldn't let me wear my 30-year ribbon at the show.
Did I not?
Yeah, he said, don't wear it. In fact, I even went to go get it.
No, that's not true. I went up to you and was like, hey, look at the ribbons. Don't you want one? You're like, no.
No, if you have that on video, then you can say these things.
You know what? We should just hire a camera crew to follow us around all the time.
I completely agree, because that's not the way I remember it.
Okay.
One of us was more sober than the other this show.
Really?
Yeah, one of us didn't party nearly as much. It was also your first trip to Vegas.
As an adult.
Yeah. And you learned a few things. I taught you how to play blackjack.
Okay, we're not going there.
Oh yeah, we are.
Okay, I did really well. I won $300 and I walked away.
And where would you learn to do that?
From you.
From me. I won $2,000. Yeah. Just saying.
Just so you
don't play me in cards ever. I've beaten poker pros. Anyway. So segregation, and what we have right now in the diamond industry, and you guys have heard us talk about diamond wars, and it's a war. It's, you can feel
The energy is just so different when you walk into, so there, it's basically this massive convention center, and on one side, on this side here, you have the lab-grown diamond side, and you walk over to the other end, at least like a kilometer, almost it feels
like it,
and then you have the mined diamond side.
And its battle lines are drawn, and I gotta say, the vibe, you talk about vibes all the time.
I talked about the energy. When you walk into the mined diamond side, it's just, I told Colin it was grim.
Depressing.
It was depressing.
Right? It's depressing because they're getting annihilated. And still, the number one thing here is everybody has a story to tell about what's going on. Yeah. You know, they talk about the fact that the mine diamond guys talk about the fact that the prices are dropping on lab grown. Meanwhile, all the news releases are about the fact they're dropping on mined like crazy. De Beers just lowered the value of the site yet again. Their expectations are, you use the word grim. I think it's a great word to use. You know, you've got mining behind it. You've got all these. And look, we are not here to pick one side over the other. We are not. We broker the world's most beautiful diamonds, whether they come out of a laboratory or out of a mine.
Right.
But the coming back from there, you've got to be considering a lab-created diamond for so many ways. And you know, the thing, and I mean, we literally, I open these conversations with top senior representatives of De Beers, where we talked about the fact that something you've heard us talk about is there's no secondary market. So the strategy so far has been to say, well, if you buy a lab-grown diamond, there's no value, no retained value in the asset. But there's no retained value
in either
asset, and there's no retained value because there's no secondary market. If you get engaged and go out and spend $100,000 or $10,000 or $5,000 or $1,000 on your engagement ring, you're not getting it back. You might be fortunate enough to get a fraction of it back, and I mean 10% at best. This is not a financial investment. We said that, and still the industry keeps pushing this agenda. And I was talking to them about this, and now you're going to see what I think would help that part of the industry if they want to differentiate themselves, mine from lab. And remember, the best trained eyes in the world can't tell the difference. We looked at instruments, and we can confirm GIA instruments are not conclusive as to being able to tell the difference between a mine and a lab-created diamond. I mean, it's just not there yet. It takes a number of instruments, and they're costly. And look, if you want to know your diamonds out of a mine or out of a lab, do what we do for every one of our clients. GIA or no way certificate. But literally, it's... yeah,
it was interesting to hear all the different perspectives on why, you know, certain companies are pro-mine or pro-lab, right? But at the end of the day, I think we kind of know the main key points as to why someone would want to pick a lab-grown diamond.
Well, it's interesting, too. If you look at the numbers, if you were there a couple of years ago, there was a very small group, partners of ours, who were at these shows who were condemned by the industry, and they were the only ones there, and they were a line in the very back corner.
Right.
And today, I mean, the representation of mind...
It's pretty significant.
It's almost half, I would think. It seemed like more to us. I mean, everywhere we went, it was, you know, in the segregated area, there were so many companies doing... There were Ukrainian diamond companies.
There were Chinese diamond companies.
Right, from India.
Yeah.
Right? And so yeah, it was really eye-opening. And the thing I like most about it, because of my massive ego... Do you think I have a massive ego?
Is that okay to say?
Yeah, of course it's okay to say.
He has the worst fucking... Sorry.
But I was right.
Yeah.
right? Like we sat here, we were the lone voice for a long time going, look, it's coming. It's coming. And when people would say, oh, they're different, they're not different. The technology, look, we have AI, we use AI a lot in our business now. Like, they don't have a machine that can tell you.
Conclusively.
And even if they did, you know, that article that came out just before we left about ask a woman, a millennial, because, you know, I quoted Martin Rappaport, he's on as saying how much he hates millennials because they're informed, they're an intelligent group.
Right.
They know what they're talking about. And he said he hates them because they're choosing lab-created diamonds. And this is a generation that are buying these things. You're a millennial. Martin Rappaport hates you.
I'm not a millennial.
Yeah.
I'm technically Gen Z.
Oh, yeah, which he hates too.
Yeah, he hates all of us young people.
Anyway,
because we know how to buy. We're intelligent.
And this is not, we're not being facetious here. Martin Rappaport,
such a lovely man,
deserves the utmost respect for his role in the industry. But imagine spending your life, like so many of these guys have, dealing with mined diamonds rather, and all of a sudden this technology comes around, and you know, I'm 49. I mean, that means I started in the industry when I was 9. Eight. This is my 41st year.
Highly believable.
Right? Yeah. Savant is the word that comes to mind. Diamond savant.
Okay.
Maybe I should register that. DiamondSavant.com. Anyway, the bottom line is we were right. So, you know, when people take our advice, look, we've brokered the most beautiful diamonds out of a mine recently, and like we do
4 carat D flawless.
Yeah, amazing, the best there is in the world. Stand behind it, because that's what was important to that client.
Right.
But there's a shift now. You know, it's interesting because that particular client recommended his brother-in-law, who got basically the same
exact
thing,
same grade,
right,
exact
in a
same
lab-created diamond.
Yeah.
You know,
for a fraction of the price.
So this is what's going on, and there's different motivation. And at the end of the day, what we try to do, and we're very good at this, is
provide information so that you can make the
accurate
choice
information
that's important to you.
Right. So you know, we don't come down one side or the other. The bias, and I think this is the word. When we saw the segregated area, I said it to you the first day. I've been going to this show for 30 years. It was chilling for me to see just how big the lab-grown industry is. And you understand, it's just getting bigger. I mean, that's the reality. You know, the industry, the mine diamond industry has been tortured with these, and perhaps justifiably, perhaps not, with these allegations of, we heard we had to go through blood diamonds. Do we want to talk about me being identified in northern China as Leonardo DiCaprio? They asked me.
I think that's enough.
Is that we don't want to go there today?
That's enough for them to hear.
Okay. But I was in northern China. No, I'm not telling that story.
We already told it in a previous.
But you know, the ethical and environmental aspects of the industry, I believe, have come to bear. And you know, we're going to talk a lot about this. What's going on there over the next? Because we interviewed with De Beers. We interviewed with which is the greatest diamond company there is, who incidentally also had Lightbox there.
Which is their lab-grown section.
Which is their lab-grown section, which, by the way, both of them are the biggest rough suppliers in the world. Interesting, isn't it?
Very.
So really, De Beers is fighting amongst itself.
Yeah.
But I'll tell you this, they've hedged their bets. One way or the other, they're going to win. And it appears to me from, even seeing the 2 booths and spending time speaking with and chatting with and interviewing these people, which is what Judy and I kind of do, is we ask tough questions, right? Like we ask questions that other people aren't asking them, and we got some answers that we're going to share with you over the next weeks and months. But suffice it to say, today, the war is on. Tensions are rising.
Oh, there was tension for sure.
Oh, like palpable. Remember I used that word there? It's palpable. You can feel it. Like Judy said, when we walk, Judy uses the word vibe because she's 25. But when we would cross the line from lab created to mind, even now it just gives me a bit of a chill, right, to how it felt. And of course, we are recognizable in the industry these days. And
well, we had quite a few vendors come up to Colin and be like, hey, aren't you...
Yeah, but not just me.
Yeah.
I don't know why you think it's just me.
No,
I mean,
people would be like,
you were by far the most beautiful woman there.
Oh, thank you, Colin.
By far. So I don't think the men that came up to me really wanted to speak to me, human nature being what it is. But it was interesting because the mind people were visibly upset. And I've known some of these guys for decades. Decades. And, you know, I would go to them and have the conversation as their friend. Because it's amazing to me how they have blinders on. And, you know, I thought about racism and how racists cannot see the other side. And so I tried my best and again, we call ourselves pro-choice, kind of tongue-in-cheek, but we are pro-choice on both topics. We feel a woman has a right to her own body.
Right.
And we also feel that you have the right to decide. And so we really, if we ever seem biased towards one or the other, it's only because, given that date and time and in history, it seems to be the most logical choice objectively. And so...
Yeah, it's interesting. A lot of the companies that we talked to and saw were either very one side or the other.
Right.
Very few had both mind and lab, which I thought was interesting.
And if you come back, who would you vote for? Who would you come down on the side for? Just from attitude. I mean, you know, the ostrich mentality for the industry has not served the industry well. And by that I mean they've stuck their head in the ground and sort of gone, it's not happening, I'll take my head out and it'll all be gone. And yet they're getting rained on by this, you know, this technology. And, you know, the worst thing they can say is that the value of lab-created diamonds is dropping. Well, if you're a consumer... isn't that what you want? Like, you know, I would tell you right now, if you're considering owning a diamond, it's probably the best time in history to own it, because I can tell you what's going to happen with lab-grown diamonds. And here's another one of my predictions, is they're going to structure, just like De Beers did a decade ago, they're going to come up with a way to structure and to retain value and to raise prices so everybody makes money. There's not going to be the monopoly. There's not a monopoly today in the mine diamond business, but it's becoming fractured because of the fact that De Beers cannot any longer sustain price. They can't keep telling the story and have it be believable. And we're seeing this every week with news releases and everything else. Anyway, it's an exciting time for us. You know, we really had a great show.
So much fun.
We really learned a lot. The food was great. Our host from JCK, and we go as pros, so we're in a bit of an elite group that get to participate in this. Were so good to us and treated us so well.
Gave us so much sweat, so many instruments.
You got to give Martin Rappaport credit for our little diamond packages.
Got a new little loop,
right?
You know, little diamond scoop. No,
the
we had
show
so
itself,
much fun. It was excellent.
The show itself is so well run.
Yeah,
for the absolute. So yeah, and it was good, and I think you learned a lot, which was what it was about for you to be there. Although you were a little bit mean to me a lot this trip. We got to get you ready.
You kind of deserved it, though.
Oh, do I?
Yeah.
Do I deserve it? Okay, maybe.
It was
that's
warranted.
highly possible.
You know?
Yeah, we went to some great restaurants. We met some incredible people. But I think the highlight of the trip for us was blackjack, wasn't it? Like, of all the things.
Maybe for you. Maybe for
Hey,
you.
you learned blackjack from me and won money. It doesn't matter what I do, does it?
No.
It doesn't matter what I do. Right? So the $300 that she earned from me sitting there coaching her and going, wait. Don't give her that card.
I gave you commission and you didn't take it, so
right?
that's a you
Do you
problem.
understand? But do you understand? But again, I'm the teacher, right? But it was fun.
I'm
We had a great
student.
trip.
Anyways, you guys, stay tuned. We'll be posting some content from Vegas. We took so much footage, and I'm really excited to share it with you guys. So.
And yeah, stay tuned. There's some really, we can't get everything in today. We'd love to, but there's some amazing stories from the show. There's some amazing diamond stories. To all the people who support us and follow us, and all of a sudden our numbers are starting to really go up. Whether it's kind of exciting for us, but this is the hard truth, and we really try to tell the truth. Whether it's on the behest of the lab-grown industry or the mined industry or, the colored diamond industry, which is going to be one of the topics we're going to take on soon. And this is good news for the mined diamond industry because as much as they can make white, they're not having quite that kind of success in specific other kinds. Yeah, exactly. So it's kind of interesting. A lot more to come. I've got to go get my manicure, pedicure.
Yeah, you should.
I only do because you made me. Because of your taunting.
Oh,
Okay?
really?
Absolutely 100%.
Okay.
That's the only reason.
Well, I'll keep taunting away then. 'Cause
Anyway, this is our 49th. Our 50th is right around the corner. Who can believe it? We're going to have a special guest on our 50th.
Okay.
I'm thinking the same thing you are. If he makes it that far.
If
I'm just kidding. Itzik, we love you.
Love you, Itzik. Okay, guys.
Take care. It's great to be home.